Hello, I'm Mike Ventura, and I'll be producing this video on the practice of topping of trees and the negative effects of topping trees, what it does to the trees, and also the impact it has to the surrounding landscape, and also some of the factors that come into play after a tree has been topped. First, let me provide you a background on myself. I'm a graduate of Cal Poly Pomona. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Landscape Management and a minor in Plant Pathology. I am also a state licensed certified arborist, a licensed pest control advisor, and a licensed qualified applicator. I've been working in the landscape management industry now for approximately 30 years. And more often now, I see people topping trees, and it's almost at a point now where it's a recognized form of pruning. So I decided, let's do a video on actually what happens when you top a tree. And so let's first talk about the ornamental trees in the landscape that become subjected to the practice of topping. And when I say ornamental trees, I'm referring to evergreen trees, I'm referring to deciduous trees, and I'll define those terms in a moment. I'm not referring to a palm, because a palm is not a tree, and I'm also not including fruit-bearing trees, such as peaches, plums, nectarine, apricots. Those trees take a different type of pruning practice. When I refer to evergreen trees, I'm referring to trees that do not lose their leaves, so they remain with foliage throughout the year. As an example, an evergreen tree can be a tree called the Brisbane box, a coast live oak. These are examples of evergreen trees. A deciduous tree can be a tree called the Chinese elm, London plane tree, California sycamore. These are examples of trees that lose their leaves in the fall and reproduce a new canopy in the spring. So, what exactly is topping a tree? When a tree gets topped, first of all, the top of the tree gets cut out. Then you have the branches along the side. They get greatly reduced back to almost just a stub coming off the main trunk. Now keep in mind that topping a tree is not a recognized form of pruning. More importantly, topping a tree puts the tree into a great deal of stress. When you top a tree, what you do is you take out all the energy. In this case, you're removing a great deal of nutrients that are in the branches, but you're reducing a great deal of foliage. If it's an evergreen tree, such as the coast live oak, the leaves are the, if you would call them, the workhorse for the tree. They make all the food that ultimately ends up into the root system. Most importantly, when you top a tree, you take all that beautiful foliage production and it's gone. In the case of a deciduous tree, when you remove all the branches way back, almost to the main trunk, the following spring, what that tree is going to do is it's going to send an enormous amount of energy, sends energy up to produce growth. Unfortunately, because the branch structure has been severely damaged, and I'll talk about the damage that you get after you've topped the tree, but you're losing all those buds on the tree, and so consequently, you get this production of water sprouts, which will grow from the cut that was made when the tree was topped. Now, those water sprouts are weakly attached branches. A water sprout lacks the structural ability, the structural strength rather, to adhere to the branch, especially during inclement weather, when we have a rain event or high wind or just a strong windy condition. The water sprouts tend to tear off a tree that's been improperly pruned, such as topping, and consequently put the tree into even greater stress. Let's go back and talk about the importance of leaves. What do leaves do for a tree? Well, leaves, or foliage, are the workhorse for the tree, because there's where all the food gets made. When you take a look at what leaves do, what do leaves actually do? Well, they take in carbon dioxide and they give off fresh oxygen. We take in fresh oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. So it's extremely important that we have as much leaves out there as possible, especially on trees because it's such a big part of the landscape. But when you top a tree, you removed all that beautiful green mass that was in the canopy of that tree, and now you have almost what looks like a hat rack or a standing stump. So you have the main trunk and these wooden stubs. A wooden stub does not clean the air we breathe. All it is a stub. Doesn't do anything. Except now what's happened is, once you've permanently wounded the tree by topping, and once you top a tree, you do permanently wound it, because what's happened is you've permanently damaged the structural integrity of the tree, and you are forced to continue topping that tree. You're never going to get the structure back from what the canopy used to look like. So it's important that the tree is properly trained, not subjected to topping. When you top that tree also, as I said, you have to keep up that practice of topping and topping. So it keeps putting the tree into greater stress. What is another type of stress that takes place on the tree, though? Well, we have other pests, such as wood-boring pests, which will attack a tree, a top tree, once a tree gets that level of stress. Because wood borers are considered opportunist pests. They look for trees that are too weak to defend themselves. In this case, when the tree has been topped, it becomes an easy target for wood-boring pests. Another pest problem that becomes a real problem for trees that have been topped are root rot pests. And root rots are fungi that live in our soil, but once again, they are opportunist pathogens. They're opportunist diseases, and they will attack trees when they're under a stress. As I said, topping a tree places a tree to a great deal of stress. So, root rots tend to attack trees that have been improperly pruned, in this case, topped. In this video, I'm going to put in there a picture of a top tree, and also a picture of how important it is for the leaves, as I said, for carbon dioxide to be taken in and oxygen to be given back to us. And so it's very important we maintain that canopy. Also, at the end of this video, I'm going to have my contact information for you. You'll see my Facebook page, my email, and my website. I welcome you to go to those sites and give me input on how you like the video. I hope you enjoy the video, but most importantly, I'm hoping that we start reducing this incidence of topping of trees. Keep in mind also that let's take a look at what happens to the urban forest. And when I refer to the urban forest, I'm talking about street trees, trees in the front yard, backyards. All those trees make up the urban forest. And let's take a look and see the visual impact that a top tree has to the urban forest. Where it used to be a beautiful canopy of foliage is now subjected to just a bunch of branch stubs coming out from a main trunk. Also, how about the impact that a top tree has as far as creating that cooling effect on a warm, sunny afternoon? Because trees are nature's air conditioning system. They cool the house down. They cool down the surrounding landscape. Suddenly you go through and you top a tree and you take all that beautiful foliage out of the tree, and you don't get a whole lot of cooling from the stub of a tree. Not a whole lot of impact. It doesn't do the job it should do, aside from, as I said, the stresses that come in. And finally, what about the economic value? How much economic value is added to a property once a tree has been topped? Initially started off with a tree that had a nice, beautiful, symmetrical canopy, evenly balanced canopy, and suddenly you have a tree that's got a main trunk and just some stubs coming out. So think about these factors, and I hope you enjoyed this video. But I think we really need to focus on proper tree pruning practices and not allowing trees to become subjected to the practice of topping. Again, topping is not a form of pruning. Okay, thank you very, very much. I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, go to my contact page at the end of the video and let me know what you thought. Okay, thank you very, very much.